So instead of trying to control their behavior or change their behavior, looking at it with some semblance of curiosity or trying to explore it rather than change it, following it down a path and examining it rather than trying to change it. Okay. We've been talking about this a lot, especially on the tail end of going on vacation with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a vacation.
Or what did they say? Just parenting in a different location?
Mm-hmm. More stressful parenting.
Well, it's like regular life, but then you don't have the childcare.
And your children are less regulated.
Yeah, and there's a time zone and difference, and they have less stuff. And so it's all quite fun.
How did the cat even get up there?
Oh, shit. Whoa. Yeah, that's high.
Okay.
What?
Okay, so curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot about how to instill curiosity in our kids, but I've been trying to think about how to be more curious about our kids.
Oh.
So instead of trying to control their behavior or...
Bro.
Do we need to lock the cats up?
Okay.
I'm trying to be curious. So instead of trying to control their behavior or change their behavior, or if they're acting out or against, like they're pushing the boundaries that we've set for them or starting to beat each other up, looking at it with some semblance of curiosity or trying to explore it rather than change it.
Like, why are you the way that you are?
Asking why.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Following it down a path.
Sure.
And examining it rather than trying to change it.
Well, actually, you've been saying this because you know how like clerical do something, hurt someone or whatever, and they go, it was an accident. And then, I mean, obviously it wasn't an accident, but it is like one thing is just like, well, what were you trying to do? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah. As opposed to like, obviously that was a bad idea. Don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by it was an accident?
Yeah, right. First off, what do you mean by that was an accident? And then also like, what were you attempting to do? Because like, look, 90% of the time it was obviously something you shouldn't have been doing, but 10% of the time it wasn't the worst idea. Like there was a logic to it. Mm-hmm. It was a like, 6-year-old logic.
Yes. So I think, and then in doing so, and doing that with our kids, I think it's shifting the way that I'm thinking about other things in life. And it's like opened up that thought process to solving other problems that we have.
You know what's really driving me nuts? Just to get a sense of like, this is why I think we have trouble talking.
Me?
Just like, no. See, you were having trouble in the other studio where there's just chaos, period. But there wasn't supposed to be a rhyme or a reason to those books. What's driving me nuts sitting here is just how many books are clearly in the wrong section.
Oh, yes. But I walk by this every day and I need to fix it. Like I walk by this every day in the bookstore and I'm like, this is a problem that needs to be solved. And I'm choosing not to solve it because I have to prioritize other things. And I think that you just don't look at it. Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. We have to focus on this.
Actually, let's go to what we're talking about, which is like, so what I'm seeing is a number of bad decisions.
There's a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah. But I try to think like maybe it's just a decision. Like someone thought it through. They just made the wrong call.
Mm-mm. Do you want to dive into it? There's like 15 things.
I'm just not sure why Hooked, a book about marketing, is in the psychology section when the business marketing and media section is literally 17 inches away from it. Or why Running Down a Dream, a book about creative projects, is in the psychology section when there's like 15 other books.
Did you want to have a conversation about top-down management and teenagers and relate it back to the Daily Dad podcast in some capacity? Or do you want to record the podcast that we're trying to record right now? Should get back on that. Okay.
There's even like a huge giant blank space in the business and marketing section where all these books should go.
We're going to fix this next week when we're not at the store because we need to like revamp the books in the bookstore. We're going to do that next week. It's on the agenda. Don't worry about it. You've just not been paying attention to this. Okay, back to...
Being curious.
This is why we don't actually have conversations.
Back to being curious.
Okay, back to being curious.
Okay.
Yes. So, and then oftentimes I'll ask our children why. I'll be like, why did you do that? And then the response that we get from them is just like nonsense.
Yeah, sure.
They'll be like,
yeah, right. I thought X, Y, Z. He wanted me to do it or whatever.
and then I'll be like, okay, but why did you, then you have to dig a little bit deeper. Why did you think they wanted you to do that?
Sure.
And sometimes I think there's another lesson for me there. It was like, if I push it, it doesn't happen. But if I ask the question and then I step back and I give them space and then we just kind of sit in silence there a little bit, it'll come. And it'll always be like an absurd.
All right. So how are you actually encouraging curiosity other than just being curious?
That's like a separate, I've always thought about curiosity as like something I need to encourage in our kids. I need to encourage curiosity by like pushing them to be outside and like doing as something that I need to thrust upon them rather than, and then, I think I've thought about it as like critical thinking skills, which I think we've like give them by asking them weird questions or weird, because that's how we talk. I mean, look how we try to interact with each other. The fact that our kids can keep up in conversation with us is like insane.
Sure.
But now in thinking about it this way and asking these questions of them, it's shifting the way that I'm teaching them curiosity. It's shifting the way that I'm teaching them to explore curiosity, which is to ask the right questions.
Right, or just to ask questions. Like I'm trying to do this thing like where whenever we talk about stuff, I just go like, let's look it up, right? Like what does it look like? You know, like just even because how many people like they have a thought or they're vaguely interested in something and then it goes literally no further than that, right? So just the idea that like in your phone or on your computer you have the ability to look up an infinite amount of stuff, right? The ability to look stuff up or watch a video about it or read an article about it. Like I'm just trying to encourage that.
Also, I don't think that I realized until like recently in my life that is a skill. To know that to follow those paths of exploration is a skill.
Yeah.
To know that you have those resources.
Sure.
So I was just like scrolling Instagram on my phone when we were talking. I was sitting with the kids and the kids are like, I don't know, playing Minecraft or something. And I saw this cool video of an octopus like expanding. And our kids who are Titanic nerds and might know like what's going on with the submersible, asked me why the octopus was not getting crushed that deep in the water. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. I think it's probably like some membrane. And then we just sat together on the couch and did that.
Well, that it goes further than I don't know. I think it's X, right? Yeah, it's like, well, let's find out. Like, why exist in a state of sort of unknowingness or like guesstimating or whatever when it's very easy to figure it out, and that actually when you go to look stuff up, you find a bunch of stuff that you didn't know. And like Marie Forleo's book about how everything is figure outable. That's what you're trying to teach your kids, that stuff is figure outable, that curiosity is like the sort of the first part, right? And then you take it from there.
Okay, I think I have a really good example of, maybe this is something that I think we don't often do a good job of like patting ourselves on the back about things that we're doing okay with our kids. And I think like maybe
I do a pretty good job.
You do?
Yeah. I don't know.
Can you fix your watch?
Oh, it's not. All right. Continue.
We lost the cat, so I have nothing to like keep my brain occupied.
All right. Continue. My watch is fixed.
Okay, so we went on that ferry ride across the
on Jenny Lake in Jacksonville? Yes.
And we get on the boat and our 4-year-old is like, okay, so what's the emergency exit plan if something happens on this boat?
Yeah.
and he just likes to be prepared.
He wanted to know where the life jackets were.
And
all
like,
sorts of stuff.
I think that if it was a different day and we're tired, or I don't know, you could just brush that off. But like, or if you think that it's a lot for a 4-year-old to handle, but he likes to be prepared. So we're like, okay, well, here are the life jackets. He's like, but where are the children's life jackets? And I'm like, here are the children's life jackets. And we're like, okay. And he feels situated, and he's like, but will helicopters come? And we're like, whatever. We got that. He's fine. He's not super anxious. And then they'd go over all of the things, and then our 6-year-old is the only person on the boat who asked a question, and it was like a very good question to the ferry operator.
Yeah, he asked how old the lake was.
Yeah, and then how deep it was.
Yes.
And she had the answers, and it was really...
Well, no, actually, what I think, if you really want to think about what happened in that exchange is remember he raised his hand unsolicited at the beginning of the thing, and then felt really self-conscious about it. And he's like, no, I don't have a question. I'm just like stretching. Remember, like you do that in school. And I said to him, like, if you have a question, you can ask. And then later, towards the end of the ride, as we were getting off the boat, he actually did work up the courage to ask the question.
It was really hard not to freak out and like make a big deal about him not asking that question.
I know, but it was very cute that he did that.
It's adorable.
But like, to be a person who asks questions, I think that comes from a person who watches other people ask questions, and is shown that you find stuff out when you ask questions.
I'm bored. We move on.
Yeah, that's a great place to end this episode. We really did a lot here.